Regardless, what happened yesterday with Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, America's darling Caitlin Clark, really amazing. She was amazing throughout the year in the tournament. A lot of fun to watch, but Angel Reese taunted her, and this offended Keith Olbermann, who called her an effing idiot and said it was classless. And before we get to Angel Reese's sound on this, let's go back for a second here to Dawn Staley, South Carolina's coach. I thought they were going to win the championship this year. They end up losing because Caitlin Clark is amazing.
Yeah.
And Dawn Staley is objecting. She's throwing elbows at everyone who likes to classify her black players a way that she really objects to.
The truth about our team, okay? It's a good question. We're not bar fighters. We're not thugs. We're not monkeys. We're not street fighters. This team exemplifies how you need to approach basketball on the court and off the court. And I do think that some of, I'm going to say it because I said I was going to say it, whether we lost or whether we won. Some of the people in the media, when you're gathering in public, you're saying things about our team, and you're being heard, and it's being brought back to me, okay? And these are the people that write nationally for our sport. So you can not like our team, okay? You can not like me, but when you say things that you probably should be saying in your home, on the phone, or texting out in public, and you're being heard, and you are a national writer for our sport, it just confirms what we already know.
A lot of people went after Olbermann yesterday, Stugotz, because that was a hostile reaction, calling Angel Reese an effing idiot for what is a fairly benign gesture, I thought, in the name of trash talking in Caitlin Clark's face, where she's showing her the ring finger and telling her, we're going to get one of these, and you, the star who just got beat. I mean, these are hugely competitive people, and they talk trash when they're emotional. And when Caitlin Clark is getting that kind of attention, you don't think a champion's going to be rabid about trying to defeat her? Like rabid and emotional about trying to defeat someone who is the glamour girl of the sport, while Angel Reese is the outstanding player in the tournament.
And the other thing, too, like, this is sports at the end of the day. We love Pat Beverly when he tells LeBron he's too small to guard him, and when he does all these different things. Like, this is trash talk.
I didn't love that one.
Okay, well.
You got to be better than Patrick Beverly to do that. And you got to do better in the next game than get that done to you by Austin Reeves and score 0 points on zero baskets.
Really good. No, but the point is that, like.
Classic Pat Bev.
It is. But we love trash talk until it's shown this way, and then we don't love it. Like, this is sports. We love trash talk. Gary Payton, Michael Jordan, all these guys trash talk. When you show the ring, when you beat somebody who is arguably probably one of the greatest players we've ever seen in college basketball, like, that's what we do. We talk trash.
The idea, Stugotz, somebody said that. I saw somebody say that's why we play the games. I saw someone say that's the point of the games. It is not. It is not.
Arguably.
It is not. Put it on the poll, Juju.
I mean, reminding someone you're about to win a ring is kind of the point.
Clay's been doing it for 3 years.
Put it on the poll at Le Batard Show. Is talking shit the point of playing games? But here is Angel Reese in her own words, because the reaction was hostile, Stugotz. And I don't know if it's a great step for womankind to have sportswomanship be the thing that people are talking about instead of the action. Sportsmanship is what we're talking about instead of the action in the games.
I'm happy. I mean, all year I was critiqued about who I was. Nobody... the narrative, I don't fit the narrative. I don't fit in the box that y'all want me to be in. I'm too hood, I'm too ghetto. Y'all told me that all year. But when other people do it, y'all don't say nothing. So this was for the girls that look like me, that's gonna speak up on what they believe in. It's unapologetically you. And that's what I did it for tonight. This was for it was bigger than me tonight.
Caitlin Clark is a bit of a showboat. I love it, right? But she's not shy. Like she's
not shy at all. I think it's awesome.
She knows how good she is at it. And I always love, like, one of my favorite things in sports And something I envy, because I'd like to know what it feels like to have such an arrogance about how great you are that you can preen. That you can preen because you know you're better than others. You just proved you're better than others, and now you're enjoying the being better than others. I know we're supposed to have humility about these things in sportsmanship, and God knows what the classifications are for women on this stuff, Stugotz, on how you're supposed to behave, what the behavior needs to be publicly in order to be classy.
They're competing. Why does it need to be different? Why can't they talk trash? They care just as much about winning as the men do with their sport. Like, Dan, I coached a girls lacrosse team for 10 years. And at the highest level for travel lacrosse, these girls were talking shit to each other every single game. Every game. And I was okay with it.
I think,
why do we care so much?
I think there'll be more pearl clutching. There is around sports in general, Stugotz. But now make it people who would prefer their women be quote-unquote ladylike. When whatever that means,
right.
Playing sports like that, you can't, because you saw some of this, right? There were a couple of fights during the handshake lines that became public during this tournament, where people are getting hit physically hit in the handshake line after a game, or insulted in the handshake line after a game.
I think 90% of the people that were outraged by what happened either didn't watch the game or that's the only game they watched. So honestly, who cares what they think?
I agree. Like, we haven't even talked about the game. We're just talking about the reaction from people in the media that don't give a single shit about women's sports.
Would you like to talk about the game?
We can.
I mean, think about what Iowa did, and that's like Duke beating UNLV that one year. Like, that team, South Carolina, was so overwhelming and so expected to win a national championship. And Jess is right. No one's really talking about the fact that a team from Iowa, with essentially the Danny Manning of the sport. Danny Manning carried Kansas to a national championship. No one is talking about Caitlin Clark, what she does actually on the court, the fact that they beat this dominant team with this amazing coach. They're just talking about one thing they saw after a game. It's absurd.
I saw a stat that was in the women's Final Four, when the Final Four team #1 seed is upset. That team is 1-4 in national championship games. Like, it's really hard to upset the #1 seed and win. Notre Dame did it in 2018, and Notre Dame women's basketball reporter actually gave me the stat. That was Mississippi State national championship. Was the shot Stugotz will never forget. But it's really hard to knock off the #1 seed and then win in the national championship game. And LSU did it by shooting outside perimeter shots in the first half, which was Iowa's entire tournament. LSU also, their Elite 8 game against Miami, their shooting was not good. And then all of a sudden in the national championship game, they were lights out. It was just wild.
Splash.
Exactly.
Why was that played? Exactly what?
Outside shooting. No, he's right.
I didn't hear anybody say
Splash.
Yeah, but when you shoot
so-
from the outside,
But if
Dan,
you
it's
saw
splash.
the first half, Jasmine Carson from the bench, splash after splash from
Splash.
three-point shots. Like,
Yep.
it was like, I totally didn't expect it. I thought after Iowa beat South Carolina, they were going to win that game because they have Caitlin Clark and they have one of the best shooters in the tournament, maybe of the season, maybe of any season. Certainly the best player in Iowa history. She's broken so many records there.
But no one talks about coming off the bench. No one talks about the big halftime deficit. No one talks about in the third quarter, Iowa spent so much energy trying to get back into that game. They had nothing left in the fourth quarter. We just sit here and break down sportsmanship after the game. Like,
The officiating is something that I would also like to mention, because I said this weeks ago. You were all there. I said the officiating, you remember.
I remember.
I said the officiating in this sport is so bad. And it's bad in men's college basketball, too. It's bad in a lot of sports. It's terrible in the NFL sometimes. But in women's college basketball, when fouling out affects, or being close to fouling out, affects having, like, the best player. Like, Aaliyah Boston's second foul against Iowa. She ended up sitting on the bench for, 7 minutes in the first half. She's South Carolina's best player. She was the national player of the year last year. And I don't even know, what they called her for. It was some stupid thing that looked like nothing. And then yesterday you see a video of Kim Mulkey, basically, touching a referee, pushing her almost from the sideline. She doesn't get anything, but then Caitlin Clark gets a technical for throwing the ball behind her. Like, it's so weird and inconsistent.
I find it very hard to be happy in any way for Mulkey today, but I also think that the way that we are criticizing the officiating at every turn in sports, I'm coming around to the idea that these things can't be officiated well, that all of it's gotten too hard to do. We can't find anybody who does it well.
It has to be better, though. But I don't know. I think LSU, like, watching them win and seeing how happy they were and how, like, excited they
Can't
were.
be happy for Mulkey. Can't
but
do
the
it.
team,
Dan, hold on a second.
the team totally deserved it. Like, they were so good in that game. They scored 102 points in a national championship game. They were shooting out of their minds. Angel Reese also, like, part of the story with her, which of course no one that's commenting on this current scandal knows, is that at the end of the season, she got snubbed from like every major awards list despite having a breakout year at LSU. So she feels like she's been disrespected by the national media. And she feels like no one's given her credit. Anyone who's watched LSU knows that she has, I think, the LSU record for double-doubles in a season, or maybe it was in the tournament. I don't know. I don't remember. I can't get my stats straight because there were so many records broken in this tournament. But she's a hell of a player. She's so damn good. And the entire team played much better yesterday than I think but she's so damn good. You don't think it bothers her a little that everyone's talking about Caitlin Clark? Of course it does.
Of course that's going to leak out of her.
There's so much to dissect with that, and with Don Staley's comments, which were more about Lisa Bluter and Gino Ariema. I know she mentioned like a media member talking on the phone, but Lisa Bluter referred to like getting rebounds against South Carolina as going to a bar fight, and Don Staley, I don't think she liked that. Lisa Bluter didn't apologize, but she was like, I just meant that it's really physical and blah, blah, blah. But when you're talking about a team that's predominantly black women, you should choose your language carefully when you're talking about a bar fight, because it comes after Gino Ariema saying earlier this season he doesn't even know what kind of sport South Carolina's playing. It's not basketball, because like one of his players had bruises all over her because of how physical the game was.
That's the evolution
in the rebounding
of both the sport and how people talk about it. This happened to the University of Miami football team. It was all code for they're black. It was all code. It was all code for I'm uncomfortable that they're dragging sportsmanship, white people, golden girls, whatever. This is the language that was used originally when college football started to get more and more giant, and one of the teams was that stuff, bar fights, and I'm going to show up at the 50-yard line with a broken bottle and chains. That's what the language becomes around some of these things.
I'm just not interested in Keith Olbermann. Anyone else who hasn't actually watched the sport, watched a regular season game of the sport, given a shit about any of these players before it was cool to tweet about Caitlin Clark or whatever. Like, I don't care about your opinion if you're just here to denigrate women. I don't care about you.